Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nails and Beauty Talk, NFTs, crypto, and Web3. I am your host, Asia the Bird. Today, I have a very special guest with me today. She's an NFT artist and illustrator, and also the creator of Stardust Society. Please welcome Coco Stardust. Hello, Coco, and welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. So, I want to go ahead and get started by asking, where are you from, and how did you get started into art?
So, I'm actually originally from Cleveland, Ohio. I live in Los Angeles right now, and I have for the past 2 years. I got started in art like very little, have always felt like this is my calling. I've
Mm-hmm.
always tried to make art my career. So, took every art class I could in school, went to an art college, did fashion school as well for 2 years, and have just been really grinding to make it work ever since. And now I'm almost 30 and have just now really started my art career because of Web3. So,
Oh wow, that's really, really amazing. But I also wanted to talk about this other thing about art school because you went to FIT. You
yeah.
know, is very interestingly enough because I heard a podcast interview with you where you mentioned that you went to FIT and you studied fashion and then you got into art history. So did you study them both in FIT or was it like separate things?
Yeah, it was separate. So I originally thought I was going to be a fashion designer. That was like
Mhm.
right out of high school. I was like, I want to do fashion design. So I went off to New York. I did school at FIT. I got my associate's degree in fashion design. But the program was like really structured and
Mhm.
not a lot of room to be creative. And so I felt
Right.
like really, I hate when I feel stuffed creatively.
Yeah, yeah, right.
I'm like, I gotta get out of here. So I'm really grateful for what I learned during that time, but I had to move to another major school
Mhm.
city at that point in my life to experience just like more creative freedom. And I really fell in love with art history and just learning about how different art movements came about.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, it's very interesting because I went to FIT for portfolio day. I didn't go there to school, but it was like pretty much before I stepped into to get into art school. And the art school I went to was Savannah College of Art and Design, which is SCAD.
So I love it.
So, it was cool to go there for 4 years. But yeah, with FIT, it kind of just boxes you in. You know what I mean? So like when I went to portfolio day, it was kind of like that type of vibe where they want a specific thing. They say,
Yeah.
all this stuff is great, but what about the realistic stuff? I'm like, you know, they just don't like they just not too big into when you think outside the box.
Yeah, exactly. They're really good at what they do. They're really good at
Right,
training up and coming fashion designers, technical designers, pattern makers,
right.
stylists. Yeah, artists. It's like, yeah, you need more room to grow for sure.
Yeah, right, most definitely. Now, how can you describe like your fashion aesthetic?
Yeah. Retro, I guess, is like the best word to put it. Like,
Mm,
I've always really been in love with like 60s and 70s counterculture. I really love color, um,
mm.
like bold shapes and like organic wavy forms. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like, yeah, the 60s and 70s is pretty interesting era, but also the 80s, is really cool. I like the 80s into like the early 2000s, especially, the whole thing with the 2000s, the Y2K.
Hmm.
That this is like the era.
Yeah, I love that the 80s is coming back too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so fun to see all of it blend, like the 80s, 90s, and Y2K right now is like the aesthetic, and it's so fun.
Yeah, yeah, the platform shoes. Then you
Mhm.
got the Y2K type nails, the French tips, you know, like the early 2000s, like the early movies, like, Bring It On and like, Mean Girls. Some people's doing like the Juicy Couture track suits coming back. So
Yes, I love it. I love it. I love, like, the kitschy stuff, the cheesy stuff, like, bring it on.
mm, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the thing. I really enjoy that too. But also too, like, with the retro, continuing on from that, like I can tell in your work it's very retro by the colors that you use within your work. So like, what's like your favorite programs to use just in regards to your work?
Procreate is what I use for, like, 99 0.9% of my work. I
Mm,
do some painting in real life too, and sometimes I'll scan it in and work on top of a painting. But yeah, Procreate's my thing. I love how
mm.
like intuitive it is to use.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Now, so you're pretty much purely self-taught, or did you go to art school for illustration too?
You know, I'm mostly self-taught in my style, but I took plenty of art classes that definitely laid the foundation for like how
Right.
to draw and like how to
Mhm.
find your artistic voice. And like I always attribute a lot of my art ability to actually like my high school art teacher, um,
Mhm.
who was just like he saw the students that actually cared about art and like gave them assignments that really brought out their own unique voice. And I think that's
Right.
so important. That's the key, you know. So definitely like not totally self-taught. There's been influences for sure in my life.
Yeah, right, most definitely. And especially, with going to art school too, it helps you also bring out certain things in you as well. Like it really brings out your creativity. And that's what I've seen within my work because, I can tell from how I started years ago to now, it's evolved and changed so much. It's been such an evolution. And I
Um,
want to go ahead and ask, like, how do you feel about like your work just in terms of how it's like evolved?
wow. Yeah. I mean, like me as a person, I've personally really evolved. So
Mm,
has
yeah.
really evolved. Like, just a little bit about me. I'm in recovery, so I'm sober. And so for
Mm.
2 years of my life, I was battling addiction, and my work
Wow.
looked totally different, as you
Yeah.
can imagine, than it does now in sobriety. Like, it's a lot more tighter and cleaner, and like, I think better, but definitely different.
Mhm. Right, right. And also just being in the art, industry that we're in, especially in the Web3 space. I believe that mental health is very important. I like how there's some spaces on Twitter, even the space that I was in with you and Real and a few others. I think Brock was hosting it. Yeah, and you guys were talking about mental health and how important that is. And definitely sometimes take a step back, like with some people just don't take it personal and things like that.
Yeah, yeah, it's so important, and I think like it should be talked about everywhere. And so I'm glad that it's talked about so much in Web3. And I think it's something that actually like a lot of people in Web3 can relate to, like mental health struggles, because there's a reason why we're all interested in this. Like we all kind
Mhm.
of have this archetype of like rebellious, like maybe thinking outside the lines sort of like brain. And
Right.
I think, we're more susceptible to some of those mental health things. And so we can all relate. And it's great that we can talk about it on spaces. So,
Yeah, yeah, I could totally agree with that. Now, what's like your favorite art era in your perspective?
um, that's a really hard question. I actually really love the Impressionists. Like,
Mhm.
I've always been in love with Monet. Like, I know that's so cliche, but like I've just always been amazed with Monet because like it was like they went from such a classical point of view to all of a sudden he was like blurry, splotchy, colorful paintings and like I just
Right.
think that's so cool. Like at the time he was a rebel and no one respected his art for it. And now it's like these beautiful landscapes that so many people have adapted as their style too. So yeah, I love the Impressionists.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I really gravitate to the impressionist, especially with Van Gogh.
Oh
And yeah, he's Dutch, but I really liked within his work that he just had so much connection, with
mhm.
what he was going through and put it into his work.
Yeah.
So that's something I really gravitate towards, like the colors, like his mark making was really, really cool.
Mhm. Yeah, and he struggled with mental health too, and, like, you can
Yeah.
feel that in the, like, anxiety of his pieces.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some
and
of
that's the same thing with like certain works like The Scream, like that's a classic. Like you
yeah.
could feel like just so like, just tight and like just on edge when you see that.
Isn't that so cool that, like, art can make you feel something, you know? Like, that's the goal, I
Mhm.
love that about art. It's like, you can you can have anyone in the world, no matter what language they speak, relate to you because of some colors and shapes that you put on a canvas. So cool.
Mhm. Yeah. I remember like my dad took me to like an art museum. We got into like, looking at Rembrandt, Leonardo da Vinci, Van Gogh, and a lot of these different artists that, from different eras that really had their own style. And what I really liked about Leonardo da Vinci, especially with Rembrandt, is that they paid so much attention to detail. It was very fine detail with the hair and the facial features and things like that. I was like, wow, like that's really
Mhm.
amazing.
Yeah, and like they didn't have any of the software that we do
Yeah, they
now.
had no software back
It was
then.
all their brain, all their eyes and hands. It's like insane.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's what's really cool about that. But also too, like with Leonardo da Vinci, he was so incredibly talented. He had like different types of stuff that he was like into. But also too, what I found like cool about him is that he writes backwards. Or he
What?
written
I
backwards.
didn't know that. That
Yeah,
is
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So like with Leonardo da Vinci, he used to write backwards. And also too, like, he would study like anatomy. Yeah, it was a lot of stuff about him.
That he's like a genius. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, most definitely. But also I'm into like the surreal era,
Yeah.
with Salvador
Dolly.
Dali.
Mhm.
It's
Yes. I love
amazing.
me some Dolly.
Yeah, just like the elongated elephants and just over exaggerated stuff. I like
Yeah. I definitely take some inspiration from surrealism in some of my newer works too. Like I love
Mhm.
that idea of like trippy, like feeling like a trip, like you're on a trip, but you don't have to
Right.
actually ingest any drugs. You can
Yeah,
just look at
right.
it when you're painting and feel that.
Yeah, you could feel that within the colors. And that's what I feel like, about your work is that within the colors, it's very retro, it's very hippie, you're very good with like camera angles. And I like that one illustration that you sent me. It was like this girl who had like, I think it was like a bubble gun or something, and her
Uh,
foot is sticking out, I think.
yeah, yeah, she's like stomping on the Supreme Court. So
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's really, really cool. But also too, like, is there any like, artists now that you're very inspired by?
oh yeah, there's a lot of people in this space that I love.
Mm.
Actually, I think I saw you interviewed Effa. Is that how you say her name?
Yeah, Aoife Dwyer. Yeah.
Yes. Oh my god, I love her. Um,
Mhm.
I also saw you interviewed Leah Sams. She's amazing. Um, there's so many amazing female artists in this space too that are just up and
Right.
coming.
What got you started into NFTs and Web3? Like, how did you find out about it?
Yeah, so I was actually unemployed at the time. I'd been laid off my retail job because of COVID. And I was just like really leaning into my personal art practice. I had all this free time and I was trying to find ways to make money on the side. And so
Right.
I got into stock trading a little bit, but there was a lot of
Mhm.
restrictions. So I went to crypto trading because there's no restrictions. And that's
Right.
how I learned about NFTs and just kind of jumped in and met a whole bunch of cool people on Twitter and stuck around and yeah, have stayed ever since.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. But I also want to get into the Stardust generation. So what was your whole process and how did that come about? Just that whole NFT collection?
Yeah, so that started back last December. Um,
Mhm.
just like the lore goes, one rainy day in LA, I was like just drawing for fun and
Right.
uploaded a couple. One was named Stardust, and they sold within like a day, and that was the first time
Wow.
that had ever sold that fast. So I was like, wow, there's something here. Um, and so I just kept putting out three at a time, like every week, and they kept selling faster and faster. And then about halfway through, it was like 33 pieces. They were selling like instantly. And so I had to
Mhm.
start a Discord. And so this whole community started called the Stardust community. And it was founded around the art, but it was also based on this belief of we're all made of stardust and we all kind of had this similar like depth that we were searching for in the space.
Right.
And so it was also just a community of like-minded souls. So that collection grew to 77 one of ones, and then after that I decided to start working on a generative project so that we could have even more people join. And it's just kind of like grown and grown ever since then. Now we're also part of the Hug, which is Randy Zuckerberg's investment and educational platform.
Hmm.
Really cool. That really allowed us to take off in the beginning. Um, and yeah, now, we're looking at starting a brand, like a fashion brand, and an online shop and a digital platform. And it's just crazy how things evolve and grow in this space.
Wow, that's really, really cool. But I definitely want to go ahead and ask, like, in regards to people who are holders of your NFTs, will they get access to the fashion brand, like T-shirts or like,
Yeah,
fashion stuff?
yeah. So that's like the whole dream of it, I guess, is like
Hmm.
that we'll have this platform. It'll be kind of like our home base, and there will be a shop in this platform. But there'll be different token gated areas if you hold an NFT or if you have certain patches from the Space Cadet program,
Mm.
which is a whole other thing that we do. That's a collection where if you like complete different missions, you get sent pins and patches and like stuff like that, and those will be redeemable in the shop, kind of like rewards points, or you can redeem them for different
Hmm.
experiences. Um, yeah, all sorts of things that we're planning right now, and we just started designing some fashion as well, which is like full circle moment. So great, pulling
Right.
out stuff from my FIT days and so some of those items will be token gated as well. And but we also want to make it accessible to everybody too. Like we
Right.
want Web 2 to look at Stardust as a brand that they know and love, and we want Web 3 to look at Stardust as a brand that they know and love in a different way, and sort
Right.
of blend them together.
Yeah, yeah, that'd be really, really cool. But I want to go ahead and switch gears and talk about the education side because you're very big into educating others in the NFT and Web3 space or about NFTs and Web3. Now, tell us about the Stardust Society.
Yeah, so I actually started with this space called New Girl on the Blockchain, and
Hmm.
it was like a Twitter space 2 times a week, and I had a bunch of really a lot smarter than you people come on the show. They were developers, artists, business people, tax people, and they would just come and educate us on different topics, educate us on blockchain. A lot of people from Stardust Society came to these spaces, and it kind of became this like educational platform that
Hmm.
is really ingrained in our community to this day, which I'm really grateful for. Because I think there's all of these like terms thrown around in the space, and we all kind of are like, yeah, like we nod our heads, like we kind of get it, but like,
Right.
but like, do we really like know what's happening?
Yeah.
And I think it's really important for us to know, especially like women, like we need to know what is a scam, like what is possible, what is like, the ups and downs on every spectrum of that. But it's
Yeah.
important for women to be educated in this space.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But also, like, I still trying to wrap my head of what an NFT is, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
The whole term of it,
yeah,
and a lot of people say it a lot, but it's like it's just a lot of things you got to really learn before you get into the space fully, especially selling your own NFTs. But
mhm.
this leads to me asking this one question, but I definitely want to go ahead and ask, what are some of the common things to you that, in terms of mistakes that people make getting into Web3?
Um, I mean, I think right off the bat, like wallet drainer scams are huge, and that it's so easy to fall for them when you're new. And like,
Mhm.
if you're new to the space and you get your money taken within like the first month, you're not coming back. You're not going to stick around, like it's going to drive people away from this space. So I
Right.
think it's really important to first educate on safety, on like proper link practices, like what to click, what not to click, how to do your due diligence, how to research the facts about a project, um, you know,
Right.
not answering DMs, stuff like that. Which seems simple if you're in the space, but like we had to learn it. We have to learn these practices, and we have to teach them to the new people.
Mm. Yeah, right, exactly. You know, there's a lot of scammers out there, and you gotta be very selective of what DMs you answer to, and
Mhm.
so that's the thing. Like, if people could take advantage of you, they will, and and that's totally understandable because you're like, okay, well, I can't, I can't trust trust the whole space, or I tried this new thing and I got scammed and stuff. So yeah, it's just very unfortunate how the scams just out there.
Yeah, it really is, and yeah, I just it's such like a stereotype of the space that it's like a
Mhm.
scam, and it sucks when it's proved right. You don't want, you never
Yeah.
want anyone to think that that's all that this space is, because it's not.
Mhm. Yeah, right, exactly, because that's why, like, security is very important, like how, people talk about the seed phrase or recovery phrase. You
Yeah.
don't share that with nobody. That's one of the things of how to keep your assets secure, and I also like as well, like with a lot of NFT projects now, it's not just about the artwork, it's also, having the utility along with it. So they say, hey, you buy this NFT, this is the perks you're gonna get with it. So that's something that I really like with being involved in the NFT Web3 space.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the most exciting part is like the innovation and like the new
Mhm.
technology that we're seeing come out, and we're right at the forefront of it, which is it's just so cool. I'm excited
Yeah.
for the future.
Yeah, right, exactly, and it's cool to see also different industries are taking part in it too,
Mhm.
especially the beauty industry. There's a few beauty brands I think that's taking part in the NFTs, selling products as NFTs. So it's really, really cool to see that.
Are you going to start a press on NFT collection?
I might. That's something to think about, but we'll see. That'd be really, really cool. But I definitely want to go ahead and ask, like, what's your whole take in just regards to pricing NFTs? What are some tips you could provide just how one can start pricing their NFTs?
Um, yeah, that's a good question because I think when you first put your work out there, you're most likely undervaluing yourself.
Right.
But I also see people overvalue their work when they first enter. I think it can go both ways.
Right.
I think, you know, it's like important to get familiar with the market, um, check around at your peers that have entered at a same time or like at the same sort of like level that you are in the space and
Mhm.
see what they're pricing their work at. Um, but ultimately, it should come down to what you know you deserve, how much
Right.
time you spent on the piece,
Right.
like how much you want to pay yourself hourly, and like you can raise that rate as you grow. But I think that's also a good way to figure out like how much you should be getting, and then compare it to the market around you. And like right now we're in a bear market, so a lot of people have lowered their prices, have like lower funds in their wallets, and
Mhm.
that makes sense. When we're in a bull market and people are just swimming in ETH, like, you know, you could probably make 3 times or more what you're making right now, and so you should price yourself accordingly and like be aware of those pumps and not sell yourself short.
Mm. Yeah, right, most definitely. Now for people who don't know, like, what's the difference between a bear market and a bull market?
A bear market is when generally prices are going down, so like the price of ETH,
Mhm.
price of Bitcoin, stocks, just the whole economy is kind of in a downtrend. Bull
Mhm.
market is the opposite. It's when stocks are going up, crypto's going up, money's going up, and bull market's really like euphoric, greedy. Bear market is like sad, uh, afraid, like two opposite sides.
Mm. Yeah, right. But I also want to get into as well, like, because I've been hearing a little bit about Ethereum, how it goes up and down. So, what is your take just in regards to like crypto? In regards to like Ethereum and Solana. Have you tried Solana at all?
Yeah.
Like, what's the whole thing? What's your take on crypto?
Oh man. Well, first, not financial advice. Don't take. I am not going to get in trouble legally for giving you my advice. But when it comes to crypto, I don't know. I think like bear markets are a good time to invest. So like when everyone's afraid and everyone's pulling out their money and the price is going down, it's usually a good time to enter. So even
Right.
though it's scary and it like doesn't make sense when you're not in the space, it really is a good time to get in. And then
Mm.
you just kind of have to like learn how to detach emotionally sometimes so that at
Yeah.
the top you can pull out your money and not get too caught up in like number go up. You know, it's not going to go up forever. You have to pull out eventually and have some liquidity is like cash in your wallet.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely, most definitely. But I also want to get into also what pricing too is like, it's kind of the same thing with like the beauty industry, which I'm also a part of as well, not only the art industry, but also the beauty industry. And it pretty much is like a melting pot of just, it's art just as much as anything else. And the thing is with that, I've interviewed a few nail artists and they say, sometimes pricing can be difficult. And I've always said you don't want to price too high and you don't want to price too low. So it's very important, especially getting into Web3, is understand your worth and your value when you're in the space.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's something to like hanging around first and
Right.
like putting your work out there just to show your work and
Mhm.
waiting like to put stuff for sale until you have more of an audience, you have more
Yeah.
relationships with people, and you know what your work could sell for. Like when I
Mhm.
first got in this space, I just like without even like zero followers, I put out art. And I was like, this is gonna sell, like just because it's good or what, followers.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I would say wait a little bit, dip your toes, learn.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely right. Now, like, what's your take in terms of the metaverse? Have you ever thought about like having your NFTs in the metaverse or like 3D versions of like your characters, like your character work?
Um, like personally, I think the metaverse is really cool. I don't see
Mhm.
myself like designing for the metaverse right now. Now, if you
Mhm.
ask me in like 3 years, that could be a totally different answer.
Right.
Um, but I'm more interested in like digital things right now.
Right.
I think first we're gonna see a blending of those two experiences, digital and physical, and like we're gonna see augmented reality things, and
Yeah.
then I think once like virtual reality technology has improved, um, then we'll probably see more of that like metaverse stuff. But
Right.
uh, yeah, it's just me.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I also want to switch gears and talk about AI because I know, AI is slowly coming up, or if not, it's kind of already here because there's self-driving cars. There's a machine called Dolly where you give it some keywords and it will draw like a realistic picture. Like if you want like a dinosaur, driving a car, it'll draw you a dinosaur driving a car. So, what's your perspective just in regards to AI, and will it replace human creativity?
It absolutely will not replace human creativity because nothing can replace that.
Right. I
Um,
agree.
and like, there's definitely an argument right now where people are like, AI isn't art. The machine did that for you. Like you didn't do anything. But I think like there's been movements like that all throughout history. Like when
Mhm.
the camera came out, people were like, "Oh, taking a photo, like you're just cheating. That's not a painting." People didn't know any better then too. And I think
Mm.
it's just the same. It just like history repeats itself over and over with new technology, and we shouldn't tell artists like what they can and can't use to make art. And I think like the AI art that I've seen so far, like people have really interesting prompts that they dream up and put into these different machines like Dolly, and those are
Mhm.
like unique to them. And like the outputs that I'm seeing are all different. People can make totally different things, and I think there's still a lot of human creativity that goes into it.
Yeah, absolutely. But also too, like the metaverse, it's grown a lot. So it's not just like sandbox and Decentraland. People are getting to fashion wearables, like how you said with AR and VR, doing
Mhm.
like fashionable clothing, like people could wear. And it kind of started like the AR VR thing. It kind of just, started with like the Pokemon Go. When you look at Pokemon Go, that was a popular game, especially when I went to high school. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? You be on the street and your Pokemon will be there on the sidewalk or something.
Yeah, that was sick.
Yeah.
I like want that to come back again. That was actually so fun.
Yeah, yeah. But it's really cool of how technology has really, really evolved, especially in the beauty industry. Like on my end, like there's like this machine where, it'll polish your nails. So you stick your hand under the machine, it'll just polish your nails after you select the color.
What?
You know, so
That's
it's very, very interesting. But yeah, but I could totally agree as well. Like, it won't replace human creativity at all. But also I want to definitely, get into this other topic too, which is women's empowerment. So how important is women's empowerment in the NFT and Web3 space?
so important. Like women have been left out of every technological movement, even
Right.
if they have a huge part in it. It's like we don't know about the female inventors. They're left out of Web 1, Web 2. Like now in Web 3, we have a chance to be at the forefront and a chance to have our voices be heard and our PFPs be seen. It's like right out there with social media. There's no place to hide us. And so I think
Mhm.
it's like our time to show up. And
Right.
um, it's a predominantly male driven industry, the tech industry.
Mhm.
And I don't think it like has to be. Like I think that there's like so many women that would benefit from this industry. And like I know for me, I never thought that I would be anywhere near the tech industry, but like here I am and I love it. And it's like a place where I'm creative and I can grow. And I think so many other women have, just so much to bring to the table and bring their perspective. And it's so important to have their perspective too. It's like these huge technological advances. We should have like a women's perspective. So, um, yeah, I mean, get loud, ladies. Like, I think that we've made improvements in the space, but we still have a ways to go.
Yeah, I could totally agree with that, especially in different industries. Certain industries, if not a great deal of industries, you don't see a lot of women's representation. Like how you say it's slowly getting there. You know what I mean? But of course it still needs improvement. But I definitely agree with that because I see World of Women, also Power of Women, Leah Sams, what she's doing, like how you said I had a pleasure, of interviewing her. So it's really cool to see that, women are taking advantage of the Web3 space, but also too, like in general, like women are making their stamp in different industries, getting involved, within fashion and different types of art industries. So it's really, really cool to see that.
Yeah, it's so cool. It's our time to shine. It's like, let's do it.
Mhm.
I'm ready. I'm here.
Yeah, 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 right, exactly. Now, what are some things that have really, what are some things that you've really learned just being in Web3 so far?
Oh my gosh, I mean, I've learned how to start a business. Like, I
Right.
never thought that that was going to happen, or like how to open up a business account or like file for an incorporation or like any of that stuff. Uh,
Hmm.
Start a team, like hire people. It's crazy. Like skills I never thought I would have the honor of like using or having. So yeah, business skills I think are my number one that I've learned and I'm still learning every day.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now, what are some words of advice you would give for someone who wants to get into NFTs?
I would say get on Twitter first of all.
That's where it's at.
Get on Twitter, just follow what you're vibing with, art that you vibe with, communities, people, and you'll find your people. Like you really will. Like, and I think that finding your people then leads you to like your niche in Web 3, and you'll just kind of like progressively learn and grow and find what interests you. Look up YouTube videos, learn, get educated, and ask a lot of questions. And
Mhm.
typically Web 3 people love to talk to people online. So comment, question, DM, like go in spaces. Don't be shy. I'm like, I have so much social anxiety, but like Web 3 has brought me so far out of my shell. It's like, it's so
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah, right, exactly. But I definitely want to get into social media because I know you did say you use Discord. So, how do you use Discord just in regards to like promoting your NFT collections? Like, how does that work?
So Discord is really a way for our team to communicate directly with our community. So we have different chat channels in Discord. We have like a general chat. We have a chat just for NFT holders. There's like a mindfulness chat, astrology chat, all sorts of different categories, but it's just our community. So we can really like moderate the conversation, make sure it's a safe place, and keep people up to date with new information with the project, with the community, with the space in general, and communicate pretty easily.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. Like any tips in regards to like how to navigate Discord?
It's a learning curve for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I would say just think of it kind of like each Discord server is like its own little website, kind of a
Mhm.
website of chat rooms. So like, yeah, I don't know. Like you have your own pages for different things, and then
Right.
start chatting. Send a lot of gifts.
Yeah, absolutely, most definitely. And I've worked with Discord before, like, just I haven't had my own like page, but Discord, I think it's something to kind of get used to. Of course, it's totally different from Twitter, Instagram, and we got Snapchat, TikTok. It's just so much social media platforms. It's hard. It can be hard to juggle.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot. Like I've had to kind
Mm,
of step away from Instagram and Facebook. Like right now, it's like I'm on Twitter and Discord, and yeah, I can only really do like two at a time. My brain just I'll like go berserk. But
mm.
yeah, touch grass is like something that we say in Web3 is like you need to touch grass. Like get off your phone,
Yeah, I never heard of that. Like touch grass.
touch grass.
Yeah, that's really, really funny. But I definitely want to go ahead and ask, like, what's next for you and Stardust Society? Are there any events that you're holding? Any collaborations? Like, what's next for you?
What's next for us is we're hoping to get our digital platform up by December, by the 1 year anniversary of Stardust Society, mid-December.
Wow.
So very busy.
Yeah, congratulations.
But yeah, we have products coming in. We have pieces that we're designing. So there's a lot
Mm,
on the horizon. We're almost halfway minted from our generative project.
mhm,
Our generative NFTs, our dreamers as we call them, are 0.04 ETH at stardustsociety.io. And
mhm.
we mint in moon cycles. So we love astrology. We're astrology girls. Yeah, just come say hi in the Discord or on Twitter, and we'd love to get to know you.
Wow, that's really amazing. Now, last but not least, where can people find you on social media and how can people support, your NFTs?
Yeah, so my Twitter is Coco Stardust. The O's are zeros. And actually, right now they're CDs because sometimes I change them, but in the it's zeros. You can cut that out.
Yeah, I'll cut it out.
That's so funny. Yeah, Coco Stardust on Twitter. Stardust 7 Inc. is Stardust Society.
Mm. Wow, that's really, really cool. Well, thank you so much, Coco, for jumping onto the show. Great to meet you, especially on Twitter space. It was a really fun chat talking about mental health and women in the NFT space. So I had a fun time. Like, this has been really cool. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been so great to meet you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, talk to you soon. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Be sure to click the bell for notifications. Also, follow me on my social media platforms and visit my website, ASIATHABIRD.com, and be on the lookout for more interviews.